Concrete and Masonry Guidelines Overview. Follow these guidelines to address hazards associated with concrete and masonry work. Ensure all concrete and masonry tasks comply with 29 CFR 1926 Subpart Q General Environment before starting work. Establish plans for truck routes, storage areas, staging areas, and washout areas. Implement protective systems to address potential struck-by hazards, including signs, barriers, protective formwork, rails, and limited access zones. Address exposed rebar that creates tripping or impalement hazards using proper caps, bending techniques, or guarded surfaces. Perform all concrete and masonry cutting using wet or dustless methods to minimize silica dust. Implement additional administrative controls such as signage, barriers, and the use of respirators. Develop a site-specific silica exposure plan before starting any silica-generating activities. Refer to the Fire Prevention and Protection Guidelines for hot work and temporary heat procedures. Treat concrete washout as waste. Ensure wash water is disposed of properly, avoiding disposal on the ground or into storm drains. Concrete pumps, pneumatic hoses. Secure pumps utilizing pneumatic hoses with a positive fail-safe connector to prevent displacement when pressurized, e.g., clips in fittings, hose restraint mechanisms. Employees working near pneumatic hoses must wear eye protection at all times, e.g., safety glasses, goggles. Concrete burn prevention. Prevent concrete-related skin issues by avoiding direct skin contact with wet concrete. Use concrete burn prevention techniques such as proper skin hygiene, work practices, e.g., taping transitions in clothing, appropriate PPE, e.g., long sleeves, and ensuring first aid supplies, wash stations are available. Cast-in-place concrete. Ensure that load placement on any concrete structure and the removal of forms, shores comply with all applicable design parameters and testing requirements. All associated shoring must have solid sills and provide firm contact with the form, slab, and the foundation. Shoring design should be prepared by a qualified designer and inspected by an engineer with structural design expertise. Only climb vertical forms that have been designed for that purpose. Before accepting custody of fall protection for a concrete floor, review the following. O are all sides and edges, including perimeter, shafts, stairwells, and openings, protected by a compliant guardrail system. O has the perimeter cable, guardrail system been installed according to best practices outlined in the fall protection guidelines? O are all floor openings properly protected? O has the area been cleared of all concrete-related materials and debris? O is sufficient protection in place against overhead concrete hazards? Consult the safety department before using a trade partner's custody release forms. Protect conduit stubs and cut-offs that create potential hazards as soon as possible. Protective systems may include rebar caps, extended conduits, and manufactured couplings. Construct job-made ladders to meet applicable standards. See Ladders and Stairs Guidelines. Post-tensioning employees involved in post-tensioning operations must be trained on the associated hazards and protective measures. Use signs, barriers, and/or spotters to limit access and provide necessary protection during post-tensioning operations. No employee should be positioned behind the post-tensioning jack unless essential to the operation. Buckets. Employees are not permitted to ride in concrete buckets. Route concrete buckets to minimize overhead exposure to employees. Maintain and clean concrete buckets to ensure safe and efficient operation. Equip concrete buckets with hydraulic or pneumatic gates with positive safety latches or similar devices to prevent premature or accidental dumping. Masonry limited access zones. Maintain a limited access zone until the wall is supported. Set up limited access zones on the side opposite the scaffold system. The limited access zone should span the entire length of the wall and have a working depth equal to the height of the wall plus 4 feet. Only authorized employees are permitted in limited access zones. Bracing. Brace walls over 8 feet tall with a system designed for the wall size, wind load, etc. Keep braces in place until permanent supports are established. Scaffolds. Refer to the Scaffolds and Aerial Lifts Guidelines for additional information. Material loads should not exceed the permissible loads for the scaffold system. Additional information. OSHA 29 CFR 1926-700 Subpart Q. Concrete and Masonry Construction Cal. OSHA Title 8 California Code of Regulations, 1720 and 1722 NYC Department of Buildings Code, Chapter 19, 3.3.